A shalom to the elect of Israel. I want to start by giving all the praises, honor, and glory to whom it rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that were well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect of Israel. And, this lesson, as you see the title, look, man, these Israelite camps is going off, man. These Israelite camps are going off. They all these weird doctrines, okay? You recently had Genesis Israelites saying all nations could be saved. You recently had a video with Nate or whatever, an ICPK. I think ICPK, so log if I'm wrong. All right, but we know IUIC is going off, with their MOTB doctrine. ICPK just said John the Baptist ain't the man of the Lord, or fell out the truth. They believe both of those things. Okay. And they believe the MOTB is Christianity. All right. Watchmen for Israel. All these Israelite camps, man, outside of Great Millstone, they do not have. That's not teaching the doctrine of GMS. They don't have the truth. Okay. These Baal Israelites, they call themselves believers of the way. The way of false doctrine because they're teaching wrong. But look, it's important to understand that, Great Millstone, which is GMS for short, has the truth. GMS has the truth, the 100% truth. Okay, all these Israelite camps out here going off, man. You need to stick to learning the doctrine that GMS teaches. That is the correct doctrine. Okay? And this is no laughing matter because, you listen to these other Israelite camps, you're going to get led to destruction. You see? You can't, and this should be a message to you Israelites out there, that listen to multiple camps. You can't listen to, for example, IUIC, then turn around and listen to GMS, and turn around and listen to IU. You can't do that. All right, you got to stick to learning from GMS. GMS has the correct doctrine. All right, and and according to the Bible, you're supposed to be following the correct doctrine, but you're also supposed to be having, you and your brother and the brothers you fellowship with. All right, y'all supposed to be on the same mind. Y'all supposed to be speaking the same doctrine, believing the same thing. No discrepancies. This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 10. And I'm glad Apostle Paul wrote this because, hey, them Genesis Israelites or Sakari, they look, man, they don't like Paul. They don't, like Paul in his writings, man. Okay. And the scriptures say let me say Apostle Peter wrote how Paul is a man of the Lord. All right. And that about his epistles and everything. But anyways, the book of 1 Corinthians 1 and 10. It says, "Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, that ye all speak the same thing." What does it mean by speak the same thing? Is it talking about you're supposed to at all times of every day you're supposed to talk in sync with one another? No. You're supposed to speak the same doctrine. It says, "And that there be no divisions among you." So when you in a camp with men, you got a group of brothers, right? You are supposed to be, you're supposed to be speaking, you're all supposed to be speaking the same doctrine. All right? It says, and you're not supposed to have any divisions among you. So you can't have somebody talking, believe in one thing. Like, for example, in a GMS camp, right? You're not going to have it to where a brother, we all believe the doctrine, but then one brother, believes for example, that there's a hell, okay, that you go to after you die if you're wicked and you burn up forever. No, we all got to be on the same page, okay? It says, "But that ye be perfectly joined together." See, so you got to be perfectly joined together. You have to be absolutely on the same page, 100% all across the board, all right, with the brothers that you teach, speak, and fellowship with, right? It says, "But that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment. You see, so ain't no room for false doctrines. And for those that teach false doctrines, like these and these other camps, you got to get away from them. You have to get away from these other Israelite camps that teach wrong doctrine. This is the book of Romans, chapter 16, verse 17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses, contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned. So those that's teaching false doctrines, okay, of these Israelites, all right. You suppose, because we know, like, for example, these other world religions like Christianity and Islam is off, etc. We know that's off. But, these Israelites out here teaching all these different doctrines outside of GMS. If it ain't GMS, put it back on the shelf. Okay, don't listen to them. Okay, if the doctrine that they're speaking is not the same doctrine as GMS speaks, 100%, get away from them people. And this isn't us just saying this. This is what the scriptures say right here. I'm going to read it again. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them. And that word for mark in the Greek is skopeo. All right, which basically means to watch, observe. I gotta double check. All right, but you're supposed to mark them. Let it be known that, look, these men, they here going off. Okay, they going off. You're supposed to note these men that they going off. Let it be known, right? It says what? And avoid them. Okay, so you're supposed to avoid them. Get the hell away from them. And somebody might say, well, why you keep saying GMS? How you know other camps don't got the truth? Look, man, at this point, if you don't understand that Great Millstone has the truth, all right, then you might just be blinded. All right, because it's evident Great Millstone has the truth. Everything brothers is talking about is coming to pass. Okay, and we can see that ultimately, look, when that MOTB, when that chip is made mandatory, all these other Israelite camps teaching these other doctrines, they're going to realize GMS had it right all along. You see? So, hey, you better hope you can understand Great Millstone as the truth, man. All right? But because it's a whole lot of lies out here. It's a whole lot of lies, man. A whole lot. And Apostle Paul warned about these things. Yahushua warned about these things. All right, let me get this. It's the book of Matthew 24, right? In verse 11, it says, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. Yeah, a whole bunch of false prophets, Yahushua is saying, are going to rise and deceive many. So that means there's going to be more false prophets than there are true prophets. You see? Going to be more false prophets than there are true prophets. All right? But there's still true prophets out here, aka GMS, our apostles and elders and like-minded brothers as GMS. Okay? See? So you gotta learn that doctrine. If anybody is teaching any other doctrine contrary to that, all right, if they're not teaching the same doctrine as GMS, leave them alone. Okay? Leave them alone. All right? Because even for a new person coming in, learn from GMS and don't listen to what these other camps are teaching. You hear them, you see them putting a video up, all right? Or if you hear them or whatever, and they not speaking the same doctrine as GMS, leave them alone. Because if you don't have good grounding in in the doctrine, okay, then you're liable to get swayed, and if you get swayed, all right, to a false doctrine, you're going to end up getting destroyed. And you don't want that. All right? What we speak here in Great Millstone is 100% truth, man. These other Israelite camps talking about, y'all don't got the 100% truth. Well, somebody's supposed to have the 100% truth. Somebody's supposed to be teaching the truth, man. Okay? The scriptures say this. Because it's a whole lot of lies, man. It's a whole lot of effing lies out here that these other Israelite camps are pushing. All right, let me get this real quick, all right, before I forget, because there's a lot of scriptures I want to get right now, and I don't want to forget them. Let me get this. This is the book of Titus, chapter 1, and verse 10. It says, for there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision. You know what a circumcision is? It means those that know they're Israelites. So even of those that know they're Israelites, there's going to be deceivers out here, okay? Deceiving Jake. You know? There's going to be a whole lot of them. And he didn't say just that there's going to be deceivers. He said, for there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers. Hey, GMS is one camp. There's more camps out there than GMS, man. There's a whole bunch of them. GMS is one camp. All right? And GMS is the only camp that proclaims to have the 100% truth. Okay? ISUBK talking about you got to be a part of ISUBK in order to have even a chance at salvation. Okay? These other Israelite camps is going off. Sakari's leader got pegged. All right? You know? It's lucky. All right? But this man's going utterly slow. It's lucky, man. Anyways. Yeah, but you know, there's going to be more false prophets than there are true prophets, man. Okay, let me get this. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 14, starting at verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads, right? And these are the 144,000 and 12,000 men out of each of the 12 tribes of Israel. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harps harping with their harps. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne. And this new song represents the truth. These 144,000, they're going to be, you know, they're going to know the truth. They're going to be, you know, teaching the truth and everything. Okay? And only they could know it, as it says. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. So no man could learn. So that shows you that the truth is only for a select amount of people. It's only for the elect. You see? And that's why a lot of you going to have a lot of Israelite camps that don't get the doctrine of GMS. You see? It says, verse 4, these are they which were not defiled with women. Women being other philosophies. They weren't pierced through with other philosophies. Okay? It says, for they are virgins. All right? They weren't pierced through with other philosophies, you know? It says, these are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High unto the Lamb. Here's the point, verse 5. And in their mouth was found no guile. You know what guile means? Guile means deceit. You see? Guile means deceit. So these men are going to be speaking the 100% truth. All right? These men are going to be speaking 100% truth. So somebody has it. And Great Millstone is the only camp, right, that proclaims to have the 100% truth. We're the only camp. You know? It's a lot of lies out here. But look, man, stick to learning the doctrine of GMS. Because Great Millstone speaks the truth correctly. Okay? Great Millstone speaks the truth correctly. All right? Because you know, it's not just about reading the scriptures, but you got to read it correctly. Apostle Paul even said this. And ultimately, if you're of the elect, you're going to understand. All right, you're going to understand the truth. All right, but let me get this. The book of 2 Timothy 2 and 15, it says, study to show thyself approved. Right? It says, it says, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed. Here's the point. Rightly dividing the word of truth. So you got to rightly, you know, break these scriptures down the right way. Okay? You know? So, and Great Millstone is the camp that does that, all right, as you can see. Okay? Even AI, you know, agrees with a lot of the things we talk about, okay? In some parts it doesn't, but, you know, nevertheless, you know, a lot of parts it does, because AI doesn't have the truth, okay? But, come on, what are you doing? Let's lock it. Anyways, So I'll get, okay, let me get this one. I wanted to get this as well. It's Galatians chapter 1, verses 8 through 9. It says, but though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. As we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accursed. So if anyone's preaching another gospel, another, doctrine to you, other than that which GMS has been telling you, that person is to be accursed, okay? And you're supposed to leave that person alone, all right? You're supposed to leave him alone, man, okay? And the Lord's going to deal with all these false prophets out here, all these false teachers. And the thing is, people don't like GMS mainly because of the false witnesses that go around, mainly, because of the grape doctrine, okay? Which no brother in GMS has done that. So people, Jake is just getting their feelings and false accusing us, But I mean, look, out of all the Israelite camps, Great Millstone is the most hated one. That should tell you something. Let's get a couple scriptures with that. This is the book of Luke. Hold on. This is the book of Luke, chapter 6. Right? And verse 26, it says, woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you. For so did their fathers to the false prophets. See, so look, the fact that Great Millstone is not liked, is the most, unlike the Israelite camp, that should tell you that, it's speaking rightly. The scriptures say this. This is the book of Amos, chapter 5, and verse 10, it says, they hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. Most of these Israelite camps abhor Great Millstone, and they don't like Great Millstone, man. And guess what? A lot of Israel back in the time of Yahweh Shai didn't like him. Why? John 7:7, the world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it, that the works thereof are evil. Okay? Because he was rebuking them. All right? Most people like IUIC, okay? That's like the most favorable Israelite camp, But I mean, if you can't see it, man, you just can't see it, okay? And even back in the time of the Acts, all right? Even in the time of Acts, all right? They the apostles, the Acts of the apostles, during that time, they could. It was told that they were supposed to have the correct doctrine, to follow the same doctrine. Acts 2, and this is start at verse 40. Says, and with many other words that he talking about Apostle Peter, testify and exhort, meaning encourage, saying, save yourselves from this untoward generation. Verse 41, and they that gladly received his word were baptized, and the same day they were added unto them about 3,000 souls. And they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking of bread, and in prayers. See? So they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine. Right? They weren't to switch the doctrine. They were to keep the same doctrine. Right? And that's what you got to do. All these other Israelite camps, it's important because, once again, anybody can read the scriptures, but you got to break it down the right way. All right, because what? The scriptures, all right, are able to do what? This is 2 Timothy 3:15, and that from a holy child thou hast known the holy Slakia, from a child, and that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. So the scriptures are able to make you wise unto salvation, right? And anybody can read the Bible that has the ability to read, but not everybody can understand it the proper way. Therefore, you have to be taught the correct way. You have to be taught the scriptures the correct way, which is by the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. So then, therefore, you can understand. Remember, with all that get understanding. So therefore, you can understand, the wisdom the wisdom in the scriptures that are able to make you wise unto salvation. All right. But all these other Israelite camps out here, man, that don't teach the same doctrine, GMS, they deceiving you. All right. GMS is the doctrine of GMS is what the Lord This is the true doctrine. All right? That's the true doctrine. Point blank, period. If anybody doesn't believe it, you just weren't meant to. Because the elect going to get it, nevertheless. Everybody did not believe the apostles' words. They didn't believe, everybody did not believe the apostles, all right, and Yahweh Shai. They weren't meant to. Okay? So, it is what it is. All right? But, other than that, you know, amen. Stick to learning the doctrine of GMS. All right? Stick to learning that doctrine, because there's a whole lot of lies out here, man. All right, so I'm going to leave it with that. All right? With that, giving all praises, honor, and glory. Oh, and by the way, as Apostle Tahar said, the elect are going to come out of all these different Israelite camps. And, you know, and hey, once the elect wake up, that destruction is on its way. Revelation 7, 1 through 3. So with that, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect of Israel. Shalom to the elect.